Hello and welcome back to our daily encouragement channel. My name is Lewis, in case you didn't know, and maybe you're new to our channel. The goal of these videos that I present to you are now in audio track that I'm starting to do as well. But the purpose behind it is to hopefully encourage you with a verse or verses that have been an encouragement to me. And we try to do the best we can to keep this steady and provide these to you daily. And so far, I've got about a couple week and a half, maybe 2 weeks worth that I've gone so far. So we're glad for that. In fact, from the last video, you see I got a haircut and I've also trimmed up my goatee I had going on. So kind of celebrating the progress that we've been making and hope that we can continue to be an encouragement to everyone that takes the time to listen. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. We're today going into Matthew chapter 14. Matthew 14, we're going to start in verse 1. And it says, "At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus, and said unto his servants, This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, It is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them, and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus." Now, we read that story, and I know the first thing that would come to my mind is, how in the world is this an encouragement? Lewis, what are you doing? This is supposed to be a daily encouragement, an uplifting, something to get me through the day. So here's what I'll tell you. I tend to give you an illustration, so I'm going to go ahead and give you one now. When I was a college student, I was an intern at one of our local churches in the town where my college was. And I remember uh, having been there for a while, and one of the men of the church got sick and was in the hospital. And I remember being really close with he and his wife. And I remember we would pray and we were just hoping for the best positive outcome. And I remember this one particular Thursday, ironically, April the 1st of, I want to say it was 1997. Um, we were at the school. It was a Thursday, and I was going to my class. And ironically enough, in that class were three of the interns at the church and one former intern that hadn't gone back out. And I remember I was walking to class, and I might have been with one of the other interns. I don't remember, but I remember seeing the pastor coming to the campus, and I was like, "Pastor, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, I got to go see the dean. Got to go talk to him." And he said, "By the way, visitation is canceled for tonight. It was a Thursday, and we usually had Thursday visitation." And I remember saying, "Pastor, something's up. I can tell what's going on." And he said that the man that we had been praying for had passed away. He went home to be with the Lord. And I remember looking at him and being just stunned, because just the day before we had heard that he had been progressing positively, and there was something beneficial, like he was healing up, and there was a chance that he'd actually be coming out of the hospital. So of course we were super excited with that. So when Pastor made that comment, about visitation and about um, this man passing away, I remember just looking and um, just being surprised and almost sad because why would something like that happen? This man loved the Lord. This man loved serving in church. Loved his wife. Was just uh, an example of what I hoped I could be, even at uh, just a little bit older age. Never mind at the age that he was at the time. And I remember fighting off discouragement and fighting off sadness because I was thinking, Lord, why would you take this man that loved you so much, that had been progressing positively? Why were we almost teased with him getting better and then him dying? And I remember the funeral service. I remember um, just corresponding and talking with his wife over the next couple of years, and even telling her at one point that we, as the college guys that were at the funeral, struggling with the understanding that he had passed. Not necessarily not knowing he was gone, but how to deal with it. And to the point that we told her, I said, when we were there at the cat was an open casket, and we were there at the casket, we remember looking down and going, he would have never picked that tie to wear, and telling her that that's literally how we were, at least for me, holding myself together and trying to find joy in sorrow or joy in pain. We look over at this passage and we wonder, wait, John the Baptist, just wonderful example of Christianity, and going forth and telling people and giving the message of Christ. And now he was gone. And he was gone because, I mean, we look at the passage, and I don't want to over analyze it, and hopefully don't take this the wrong way when I say this. But what does it say in verse 6? But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. He was so pleased that he gave her a promise of anything she wanted. Was it really that? And I'm not trying to, again, overanalyze. It was that good of a dance that you as a king would promise anything, to the point where now you are locked in. You can't sit there and go, oh, wait, I wasn't expecting you to promise that. And this woman and her mother, being evil, wished for the death of John the Baptist by literally requesting his head. And what happened? In order for him to be a man of his word and to not have his authority questioned and not face the turmoil that would come from it, went and had John beheaded. Now, how can we find peace in this? How can we find contentment or even joy in a story like this and use it for daily encouragement? Well, if we were to keep reading through the passage, we would read just how Jesus worked through all this, and he still saw a great multitude, still had compassion, still provided healing, still provided the truth that these people needed to hear. And my challenge to you is, there will be difficult times and there will be end results that you will not find pleasing. But God is still in control, and he has a greater purpose and a greater reason for these things to occur. And it's not for us to decide, was this right? Was this wrong? Could it have been better? Could it have been different? If God so ordained it, we're going to keep going forward. Life still kept moving on once John was beheaded. And I don't say that morbidly or disrespectfully towards people, like if they die, oh well, too bad, so sad, let's keep going forward. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the God that we serve knew that was going to happen. And there's going to be something that comes from it that we're going to be able to praise his name for. We have to trust in it and understand there's still a work to do. So as you go through your day, as you go through, and maybe there's something that's just eating you up and discouraging you, understand the overall picture. God's still in control. And it's our duty and our job to trust in Him and rely on Him for the great that He's going to do. Anyway, hope that's an encouragement to you. I really do, because I know it sounds weird to take such a downhearted part of the passage, but I figure it's something we need to remember, that God is still in control, and there's still a task and it's still a duty for you to do. And if you want to move forward, you have to trust in Him and believe that He's got a greater purpose and a greater reason for you. Again, thank you for taking the time to join us today. If you are encouraged by it, please leave a like, share the audio or video with someone, subscribe. Therefore, I know it's doing something for you. I don't care about uh, profit out of this. I just want to make sure that there's people being encouraged, because that's our goal. Until the next time, God bless.